Hello, this is Live with Michelle Van, where we talk about health, wealth, and spirituality. Today, I am here with Miss Hupko from LifeQuest. How are you doing?
I'm doing good on this rainy day.
I know it's crazy, just rainy. But you know, here's the thing. If we don't have the rain, if we never have the rain, then we never appreciate the sunshine. I was listening to somebody on NPR the other day, and they were talking about the fact that in Death Valley, so there's a place that's called Death Valley because it doesn't rain, because it just is dry. And somehow during the pandemic, it ended up raining there.
Wow. And
because it rained, there were these flowers that came from nowhere, seemingly.
Wow.
And so they had all of these beautiful flowers. And so even in what seemed like it should have and had been called death, there was life.
Come on now.
It rained. So sometimes we complain about the rain, but I'm just like, okay, God, whatever, however this rolls out, I'm going to take the good with the bad. I'm going to take the rain with the shine, because it all produces something in our life. So tell us a little bit about who you are in the world.
Yes, ma'am. Well, my name is Allysa Hupko. I kind of wear several different hats, but currently during Mental Health Awareness Month, I have a private practice here in the city of Wichita, Kansas, called LifeQuest Counseling Solutions, where I practice clinical therapy. So mental health therapy is kind of my specialty. So I'm super honored to be here this morning to just kind of chat with you, and let's see where this is gonna go.
Absolutely. So what do we do when we think about mental health? That seems to be a taboo kind of thing. People don't like to talk about mental health. Why is that so much an issue?
I think a lot of times culturally, there can be lots of different stigmas, just simply because of some of the things that have gone on in different demographics, different ethnic groups relating to medical care and or seeking and getting help. And so when you get other people and you've got to reach out and you've got to kind of be vulnerable and be in a place where you've got to hear different perspective about some of the things that are going on, a lot of times people just are not okay with that. They feel like the word that I hear all the time is, I'm crazy. I wish we could just take that word and burn it, because truth be told, we all got a little bit of kookaloo in us.
I just said that this morning.
That's not what we're looking at. We're looking at things that hinder us from being able to walk out and live productive and holistic lifestyles, being the best that we could possibly be. And so when we're unable to, due to something that's going on emotionally or psychologically or physically for that matter, we need to seek out some support and help for new perspective and gaining new ways of doing things and managing whatever we're dealing with, so that we can go on and be the best person that we are.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, one of the signs and symptoms, if we will, of when we need to be looking at getting help is when we are no longer able to do the things that we would normally do with ease. If there is a piece within our normal flow, normal activities of daily living that are being deterred by something in our mind, then that's when we need to be seeking help.
Yes. And sometimes we're not fully aware. We may have a little bit of a feeling like something's just a little bit off, something's not quite working. Hopefully you'll have some really neat people around you that can kind of be that source of kind of reinforcing that for you. Like, it's always good to just have some people really close in your circle that is able to look at you and say, you know what, I've noticed you're not eating.
Mm-hmm.
or I've noticed that you look a little bit more tired than usual,
Mhm.
or I'm listening to your conversation and I'm concerned. So that's where having some extended people is very helpful. But yeah, when your normal functioning daily life is altered because of something that you're feeling or something that you're thinking, it's time at that point to seek out some additional support.
So you just gave some suggestions of what people can say. Um, what are some other things? What, if I see something, I see, like, you know, my mom or my friend or someone is, they don't seem to be acting like themselves. What are other things that we can say? Because if we go up and say, girl, you tripping, you crazy, immediately the people are going to get defensive.
Right, right.
Sometimes when you point those things out to people, when you point out that people aren't acting like themselves or people are, their behavior is off, people get offended.
Right, right. I was talking the other day with someone, and I really think relationship is the key. We have to know what level of access we have in people's lives to be able to have those candid conversations. Some people, they're just not at a place where they can receive really pretty much anything. So in those instances, we have to just be available, maybe just work on building the relationship a little bit further. Maybe
Okay.
that's an opportunity where we can be transparent. Maybe they're not able to be transparent. Maybe they're not at that place where they're strong enough to do that, or they may be burdened with guilt or shame. But if we can open up and share, there was a time when, and kind of just share with people with the intentionality of just having the relationship be a little bit more solidified. All of this stuff doesn't happen at once. Sometimes you got to take it piece by piece with people.
Right.
That's one way of working with that. But if you have relationship with people, man, people would be willing to go the extra mile to even be uncomfortable with you.
Right.
So it's always, I think the first step is assessing where you're at in relationship with this person. Do you have access to certain spaces and places? If you don't, always sharing about your own life experiences can open up. And then if you have access, well, then it's time to ask hard questions. It's time
Right.
to ask hard questions, because then you have the license to walk in and to say, you know what, this is out of character. I'm concerned, because
Okay.
your relationship is built off of, ideally love, concern for one another. So these
Right.
people will know that. Even if they're in an emotional state or psychological state that's not the best, because you have had time invested,
Right.
that will offer them a sense of security with whatever you're saying, even if it's uncomfortable.
Right. So as we think about the pandemic, we think about Mental Health Awareness Month. We think about, people of color were statistically, and I say statistically because I know a lot of people that got COVID, and they weren't all of color.
Right.
But we didn't talk about the people that were not of color, because it was really a really good thing to put on TV for people. It was a great talking point to say that people of color are getting it more. Well,
Right.
not necessarily. There's just fewer of us. And so when we get it, the numbers look higher. But given that, what are you seeing as a result? We're in 2021 now. As people are coming out, what kinds of things are you seeing people come to you with?
I am seeing lots of anxiety, and normally I see that, but it's another level because there's a lot of unknown. Excuse me. There still is a lot of unknown about what we're going to be moving into. People are hopeful to some degree, but there still is this big question. What is this going to look like? How is this going to shape our communities? What does it look like as far as our religious communities, as far as returning back to services? What does it look like for traveling? So lots of anxiety wrapped around that. Also, there's been a huge shift in terms of how people are employed.
Mm,
Lots of companies have downsized and figured out different ways to adapt to COVID. And
mhm.
unfortunately, a lot of people have been, let go of as far as their careers. And so we see people who are in the middle of, I don't want to call it a midlife crisis because it's really not specific to age at this
Right.
point. They're trying to figure out, okay, what do I really want to do? Who am I really?
That's good.
And so there's lots of I call it adjustment disorder if we were to put a diagnosis on it, because we're trying to figure out how to adjust and adapt to this new way of living as we're coming out of COVID. That's a lot of what's going on. I see lots of dynamics within the family because, once again, lots of adjustments have been made. We've had people move. We've had people have to combine families and households. So there's lots of conflict and relationship strain within families because we're having to deal with different personalities and co-parent, and how are we going to make ends meet? So a lot of those dynamics I see coming in. And then there's just some people really experienced a lot of trauma, particularly where children were concerned, with them in and out of school and trying to adapt to being online and then having to adapt to going back in the building. Lots of dynamics with children as far as just trying to work through expressing themselves through this thing that they've had to walk through over the last year.
So as we talk about expressing ourselves, what are ways in which people, as they are processing through this adjustment disorder, as you call it, what are some things that they can be doing to help themselves? Now, therapy is absolutely, I'm 100%, if I'd had my shirt, I have other things to do today, so I didn't wear, normally have shirts that have something on them, but, I'm the girl who wears therapy plus prayer, because I think that they're both essential. I think we need Jesus, but I think we definitely need Jesus, but we definitely need that other person in which we can talk to. But say a person, they just haven't fancied up to the ideal of going to talk to a stranger. They haven't fancied up to the ideal that, I need to pay somebody to talk to them. What are some things people can be doing to help themselves process through some of this?
Yes, ma'am. I love that, because that's real. I mean, what you're talking about is real. And there's nothing wrong with being in that place where I'm trying to figure this out and get comfortable with the idea of me either going or not going, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of things that I see with people that have prior to them coming to me, some of the things that I hear, podcasts are amazing. Mm-hmm. There are some amazing podcasts that center around holistic wellness and health and mental health and all these kinds of things. So kind of tapping into, if you're a person that enjoys podcasts, those can be very informative. YouTube has lots of different videos, self-help videos on how do I get from one place to the next? What are some coping mechanisms that other people use to kind of support themselves through different stages of their lives? Also, we talked about this a little bit, but I love journaling. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this on up here.
Yeah.
I know y'all can't see it, but it says self.
Yeah, you can see it.
Oh, you can't. It says self-talk matters.
Yeah.
So really reframing, being aware of what you're thinking is really important. And then being able to reframe that. And that is a skill that you can learn.
Yeah.
It goes hand in hand with casting down every high imagination. So taking authority over the way that we think is huge. It's huge. Those are just a few. Those are just a few things. I love mindfulness. I'm the mindfulness lady.
Yeah. Okay, so tell people about mindfulness, because I think that's one of those things that kind of like, so in our society, if we can't figure it out and we can't wrap our mind around it, like really quickly, then it becomes the devil.
Yeah, come on.
So mindfulness and some of these other more Middle Eastern practices, and I'm not saying mindfulness is a Middle Eastern practice, but there are some, some practices that have kind of come up in this, from a Middle Eastern sort of standpoint that people are like, oh, you can't do that. That's the devil, like yoga. I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm meditating on God, there's some level in which, it's where my focus is. And so talk a little bit about mindfulness and how does that play into, I can be just as saved as I want to be, but there are some things that I need to do. And mindfulness is a practice that I can really utilize even in the body of Christ.
Yes, ma'am. I always use this as an example. When we're so focused on the future, we generally are plagued with anxiety. When we're looking so far back into our past, generally depression is what we're dealing with. Mindfulness is the skill or the practice or the resource for us being able to focus on what's going on in our present life. And it allows our brain to redirect.
Okay.
Not too far ahead, not too far in the past. We're going to focus on what's right here and now. And I love it because it helps us learn how to just calm the brain down. It just needs to slow down. So a lot of the things, I love what you said about the meditation piece, because I've had a lot of people kind of be leery of that as well. But it says in the word that, meditate on Christ.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that some of our understanding has not really been cleared up with some of this stuff, because when you use things from a biblical standpoint, which is where it originated from and originally, those tools can help us. So mindfulness, simple way. I did it the other day. I mean, I can do it at different moments throughout the day just to kind of power myself down so that I can be powered up later when I need to. But I listen to running water.
Okay.
I listen to running water. I'm in a space where my lights are dim and I'm allowing myself to just be there in that moment. I'm not thinking about my next appointment. I'm not thinking about what I need to do, in the future. I'm just allowing myself to really be aware of where I'm at in the moment. What am I feeling right now? And I'm allowing the water to just be my focal point. That's what I'm doing right now. And so doing that at different times throughout the day helps us to train ourselves to not be moving at 250 miles an hour all day long, which is not how we're engineered to function. Not how we're engineered to function. Even though a lot of us are high powered and we're moving like that, for our mental health, that's not the best thing.
Right. So as we're looking at tools, so you said, we're looking at mindfulness, we're looking at, whether or not we're using sound and light to be things that calm us, things that regulate us. We're looking at reframing our ideologies and looking at and you didn't say this, but this is what you're saying, looking at our thinking feeling cycle. So the things that I think about are the things that I feel, and the things that I feel regulate what I think. And because that cycle can be so off base, we can then rise to a level of anxiety that causes us to have real issues mentally that can then be manifest physically.
Yes, most definitely. Because they all work together. Your mind, what's going on in your emotions, and your physical body, all of those work together. And I believe when we have those in alignment, we're going to be in a position to experience holistic living. I mean, that's the first step. Let's get that aligned. Right.
So we're balancing our mind, body, and spirit to make sure that we are ready to move forward.
Yes, ma'am.
And so as we are moving forward, we're looking at doing things like journaling.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how does that help us? Because like I'm writing all this stuff down in this book, but what am I supposed to do with it?
And I think sometimes it depends on where you're at in your process, because some individuals that come to me are so dysregulated, meaning they're out of alignment. Things are just way not together. They don't even have a frame of reference for where to start or where to end or where they're at in the middle, right? For those individuals, I suggest that you don't try and sit down and write a journal, because you might not be at a place where you can do that. So I suggest that they maybe do some brainstorming with their journal. So what words come up? What feelings come up? For some of my younger clients, are there pictures that come up? All of that can be considered journaling. And even if you're going to go outside of the box, some people do, they cut out pictures from magazines and they put them in their journal. And I've had some people do electronic journals, because we know that we're in the technology age. So they're able to go in and do a video, and they're journaling what they're feeling or what they're thinking at the moment. And that's a starting point for them to even be aware of what they're feeling and what they're thinking and what words are kind of dominating their thought spaces. Very important for lots of folks, for them to be self-aware enough to even know what is really going on within me. Because what I find out is that there are lots of barriers. For whatever reasoning, people suppress things. They feel like they need to be, have approval from other people. And that kind of stuffs down in people. And they're not even at a position to even be self-informed and have enough awareness to know what's really going on. So I find that that's helpful when they're in those places, because then they can see, wow, I'm thinking this. And from that, when they come back in, we can begin to explore, is this thinking adaptable, or is this a thought process that may be, damaging in the long run? So just kind of figuring out where people are at and kind of working from that angle.
Okay, so we're about at the end of our time, which goes really fast because I know you have appointments today, and I don't want to keep you. I want you to be able to make sure that your mind is clear and you're ready to receive.
Come on,
because it is morning. But as we get into this month, as we go into summer, as we are at a place where we're coming out of some of the physical isolation, what are things that people should be doing moving into these summer months to help with their mental health?
One of the benefits of summer that I always enjoy is the fact that we can get outside. We can get outside, we can feel the sun, we can feel the wind, we can explore all kinds of different things outside. I think that's a plus for sure. As we are coming out, probably reconnecting with community is going to be really, really significant this summer. There are programs that are on the up and horizon. We're trying to get back to a sense of normalcy as it relates to social activity. So having enough courage to kind of step out of where we've been and put our feet in a different direction to connect to community, I think is going to be crucial during the summer. And we don't have to do everything, but find an activity that's going on in the community where you can be present in a safe way, right? Get vaccinated. I want to plug that in. For those of us that haven't, let's go ahead and do it. And then let's find things to be connected to so that we can get back into the regimen of understanding and participating in community. I think that's really good. That'll be a really good starting point. Also, hobbies. If you have not figured out new hobbies through COVID, this might be a good opportunity for you to explore some different things to add to your tool chest as far as things that will enhance you to keep you busy outside of the house. I know I've taken up, oh my goodness, my kids are going to probably just laugh. I've taken up trying to learn how to take care of plants.
You can come to the farm. We can come and play with all kinds of plants.
I'm coming. And you know, it is very therapeutic to get into a garden or to oversee your little plant.
It's connecting with the dirt.
Yes.
Yeah, it's getting back to earth, and people don't realize that. It's connecting your body, your physicality to dirt. There is something about it. We came from the dirt. We are made of, from Adam.
Yes.
We came from the dirt, and there is some peace in which getting back to that it is therapeutic.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And not to be afraid to reinvent some things.
Ooh, I like that.
Reinvent some stuff. Like, if you need to go color your hair a little bit different, I don't know.
Girl.
Get a massage. If you've never gotten a facial, get a facial. I don't know what to just do something. Do something different.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right. So tell them where and how they can connect with you.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you can find me on Facebook at LifeQuest Counseling, ICT. I also have a website at www.lifequestcounselingsolutions.com. Excuse me. I'm thinking of my email. You can also contact me just via phone at 316-807-4418. And once again, my name is Allysa Hupko.
All right. And we absolutely love hanging out with you and getting information. Know that in this time of COVID, in this time of the pandemic, in this time of transition, God is faithful to you and he will never leave you. We want you always and forever to live blessed. This is Michelle Van, and we are here with Live with Michelle Van, where we talk about health, wealth, and spirituality. And I don't know what you're going to do this weekend, but try to get yourself outside, try to get some sun on your face, try to do something. She just said, get a new habit, get a new hobby, find something that you haven't done, do something special for yourself. I know it was Mother's Day weekend last week, and that was the stuff that your kids needed to do. But this is about self-care. This is about making sure during this mental health month that you are taking care of you. And again, this is Live with Michelle Van, where we talk about health, wealth, and spirituality, and you live blessed.